Anybody would like to sing any kirtan till Prabhu joins? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Dandot Pranam.
Hare Krishna Mataji, please go ahead.
Yeah.
Also, request for.
Yeah, please stop me when he joins, Mataji. Okay?
Yes, Mataji. Thank you so much.
Yeah, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you so much. Hare Krishna, Premadata Prabhu, Dandot Pranam.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Over to you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Do you need any screen sharing, Prabhu?
Yeah, you can share the screen from the first shloka,
Okay.
2.6.1, and we'll do it till 2.6.6. So meanwhile, when you share, I will just start.
Sure, Prabhu. Yeah.
Sorry for being late because I didn't have the link, but somebody shared me, so I just joined it. All right. Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Vihari, Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha, Jaya Girivaradhari, Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Vihari, Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha, Jaya Girivaradhari, Jaya Girivaradhari, Yashodanandan Brajjana Ranjana, Yashodanandan Brajjana Ranjana, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Yamuna Tira Vanachari, Jaya Radha Madhava, Jaya Kunja Vihari. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Ram Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Jayo Radha Ras Bihari Radha Ras Bihari Radhe, Jayo Radha Govind Radha Govind Radhe, Jayo Radhe, Jayo Radhe, Jayo Radhe, Jayo Shri Radhe, Jayo Radhe, Jayo Radhe, Jayo Radhe, Jayo Shri Radhe, Radhe Radhe Radhe, Govind 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 Radhe, Govind bolo Hari Gopal bolo, Govind bolo Hari Gopal bolo, Radha Raman Hari Govind bolo, Radha Raman Hari Govind bolo. Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath, Swami Jai Jagannath, Jai Jagannath, Jai Baladev, Subhadra Mai, Jai Sudarshana, Jayo, Jayo Narshingadev, Jayo Narshingadev, Narshingadev, Jayo Narshingadev, Jaya Prahlad Maharaj, भक्त प्रहलाद, प्रहलाद महाराज जय, भक्त प्रहलाद जय, गौरनिताय, गौरनिताय, गौरनिताय जय, गौरनिताय, निताय गौर हरि बोल, हरि बोल, निताय गौर हरि बोल, हरि बोल, निताय गौर हरि बोल, हरि बोल, हरि बोल, निताय गौर हरि बोल, जय जय प्रभुपाद, प्रभुपाद, प्रभुपाद जय जय प्रभुपाद, जय जय गुरुदेव, गुरुदेव, गुरुदेव जय जय गुरुदेव, जय जय गुरुदेव, गुरुदेव, गुरुदेव जय जय गुरुदेव, हरे कृष्णा, हरे कृष्णा, कृष्ण कृष्णा, हरे हरे, हरे रामा, हरे रामा, राम राम, हरे हरे, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Harinam Sankirtan ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari. All glories to assembled devotees, Hare Krishna, and all glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So Hare Krishna, thank you so much once again for giving me an opportunity to share Krishna consciousness uh, thought process, and the thought process which we just not speak, but we have to follow to the word, not to show it to others. Sometimes we have to definitely show to others uh, just to be in the society, and also to our seniors we have to exhibit our sincerity. But most of the time, the sincerity, we spend most of the time at our homes. So the sincerity at home is more important than small time of sincerity in the temple. So home becomes temple, and temple then becomes our real home. So we don't know whether we are inside the temple or we are outside at home. There's no difference for a devotee, because the only difference is there he just sees Krishna's work, and in his own home you see many other work which can also be dovetailed to Krishna consciousness. So the temple also becomes home, and then your life becomes like smooth.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Can you please speak a little loud? Thank you, Prabhu.
Is it okay?
Yeah, now it's okay. Yeah,
Okay.
now fine. Now fine. Thank you, Prabhu. Sorry to disturb you.
No. What's the point? I continue giving class and nobody can hear. So you have full right to interrupt. And please interrupt me. And we'll have an interactive class, but this mode of uh, discussion is actually, sometimes I feel it is beneficial and sometimes I feel it is challenging as well. Like today, I'm feeling a challenge here because it's all descriptive. So we are doing today Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the Bhagavad Puran, Canto 2, Cosmic Manifestation, and the chapter 6, which is known as the Purusha Sukta Confirmed. So I'll be doing the shlokas with you interactively from 2.6.1 to 2.6.6. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayam Udirayet Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. So today the first shloka which I will try to sing, and then we'll then in the next subsequent shlokas you also can contribute. So Brahma Uvacha Vacham Vahanir Mukham Kshetram Chandrasham Chandrasam Sapta Dhatavaha Havya Kavyamritananam Jiva Sarva Rasasya Cha. Synonyms. Brahma Vacha, the Lord Brahma said, Vacham of the voice, Vame of the fire, Mukham of the mouth, Kshetram, the generating center, Chandasam of the Vedic hymns such as Gayatri, Sapta means 7, Dhatva, skin and other layers, Havya Kavya, offerings of the demigods and the forefathers, Amrita, the food for the human beings, Annanam, of all sorts of foodstuffs, Jiva, the tongue, Jiv, जिसको हम जीभ भी बोलते हैं हिंदी में, and the tongue, the sarva means all, rasasya of all the delicacies, and cha means also. So translation by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So Lord Brahma, translation, Lord Brahma said, the mouth of the Virata Purusha, the universal form of the Lord, is the generating center of the voice, and the controlling deity is fire. His skin and 6 other layers are generating centers of the Vedic hymns, and his tongue is the productive center of different foodstuffs and delicacies for offering to the demigods, the forefathers, and the general mass of people. Purport, it's a little long. I'll try to read it a little faster. And then I'll begin the katha after this shloka, and then interact and I'll set up a sort of a narrative of whatever my little mind speaks, so as to how this class, from my, there can be many ways this class can be given, but it'll be my humble attempt by the mercy of Srimati Radharani and Srila Prabhupada. So purport says the purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The opulences of the universal form of Lord are described herein. It is said that his mouth is the generating center of all kinds of voices, and its controlling deity is the fire demigod. And his skin and other 6 layers of bodily construction are the representative generating centers of the 7 kinds of Vedic hymns, like the Gayatri. Gayatri is the beginning of all Vedic mantras, and all of you may be knowing that even in second initiation, the Gayatri mantra which is given to us, but there are many mantras, but Gayatri mantra is also given to us. Furthermore, and for second initiation, we are not supposed to discuss more than this. And when you get initiated, only the second initiated, when you get second initiated, only the second initiated disciples should be here, and you should never reveal the mantras. That's the only thing I can tell you when I'm hearing this Gayatri mantra, because that's the mantra, also one of the several mantras we get during Gayatri, after second initiation. Since the generating centers are the different parts of the universal form of the Lord, and since the form of the Lord is transcendental to material creation, it is understood that the voice, the tongue, the skin suggests that the Lord in his transcendental form is not without them. Hari Hari. So a lot of people, they think that the Supreme is Nirankar. Uska koi akar nahi. It is formless. But if you go back in the Bhagavatam, the introduction of Bhagavatam, Srila Prabhupada completely writes that if somebody says Krishna, and if somebody asks us, what is finally Krishna? Is he form? The answer is, yes, he is form, but not complete. Not complete in the form of, the answer is not complete. Yes, he has a form. Is he formless? Yes, he is formless. But that answer is also not. So those who say, no, he's only formless, I should use this English. And see, English is not my first language. So sometimes I may not be able to, explain it properly. So I've put it properly, but I want to speak it again. When you answer a question, somebody asks you, what is Krishna finally? He's Supreme God and everything. Does he have a form? That part of contention starts between 2 people, one who is bringing somebody into knowledge. He says, no, I think Krishna is, whoever the God is, the Supreme God is formless in the end, because he's not able to contemplate that. How can he sees everything? He never sees God. So how can God come from nowhere? And he sees, if God has a form, then all these form creatures which he sees around has so many problems. So he thinks that material world is all in all, and so God also cannot have a material form. So he does not know what is spiritual form. So he thinks God is some power, some light, some energy, which cannot be put it in a form, because if he is being from a different religion other than Sanatan, he may think, no, my religion speaks better. But in the end, actually, all the religion speaks the same. Vedascha saver, ahem eva vedyo. Means all the other scriptures and everybody point out in the end to Supreme God. So Prabhupada clears out this point, that if you answer that Krishna is formless finally, or you answer that he's only formless, or you answer he's only form, both are incorrect. He is form and formless at the same time. And then you have to go deeper, saying that he is form like Shama Sundar Tribhangi, bended on 3 forms, and he plays a flute, and Yamuna Tira Panachari. But at the same time, he is the Brahman, the Jyot comes out from him, which is the ever effulgent presence of Brahman everywhere. His presence is felt everywhere because of the light. And that is why spiritual world doesn't need any artificial way of lighting. Like how in material world, Krishna has arranged sun god to actually create the natural source of light. The rest all LED till CFL and till tube lights and bulbs which we see are all given by Thomas Edison, one of our soul of Krishna, who Krishna was so merciful that he gave intelligence and he brought out this light in the form of electrons traveling from, negative to positive and all that, and then the current is produced and there's a tungsten wire, and then now a lot of technology has evolved and there's a LED technology and CFL and all that. So these are all artificial forms of light. But the light which we are talking, and that is what is explained here, is that that presence of Krishna everywhere can actually make somebody feel that Krishna is formless. And that is why the Jyoti coming out of Krishna is no different than Krishna himself, because that's his power, which is he's Shaktiman, and that's the Shakti also, right? Radharani is Shakti. So all the attributes, all the energies of the Lord, are his potencies, right? Radharani is the summary of all his Ananda potency. And Balramji is his Chit potency, all the energy. So he has Chit potency, is Ananda. And so these work very beautifully. And that is why Krishna is supposed to be said that he is form and formless finally. So form, he has a form, spiritual form. So this is what is beautifully what it means when they say that, the material voice and the energy of, so let me complete this. Since the generating centers are different parts of the universal form of the Lord, and since the form of the Lord is transcendental to material creation, it is understood that the voice, tongue, skin suggests that the Lord in his transcendental form is not without them. So since he has a form, he has all these things, what we also experience in a human body. But one more point I would like to add here, which you will subsequently hear, is that all his body parts can do any other activity of any other body part. So he's not limited. He can eat by his feet. That is what they say. He can eat by his eyes. Generally, somebody said, if I offer food to the Lord, I never see him eating. So we tell him, if he starts eating food, then your ration ka pani बढ़ जाएगा. तुम्हारा घर का खर्चा बढ़ जाएगा भाई. Because he's in the form of in Jagannath Mishra, or you see in the form of Govardhan, or you see so much of big, feast we do, but he devours everything in the form of devotees. So if he really starts consuming prasadam in our home, and you can't feed him with small things, then you have to really literally feed him. If he starts eating more and more, you'll be happy, but then you will be pressurized. So this is also a mercy. So that's what I asked one senior Vaishnava. He said, you can take it in this way, that it's his mercy that he's eating by eyes, yet he's maintaining it so that you eat. And he's anyway nourishes through feelings and heart. But he can actually, factually, he has proven in many places, in so many leelas, where he has factually eaten when devotees have given him. So material voice, or the energy of the foodstuff, is generally originated from the Lord, and such actions are perverted reflections of the original reservoirs, and the transcendental situation is not without spiritual variegatedness. In the spiritual world, all the perverted form of material variegatedness are fully represented in their original spiritual identity. The only difference is that material activity The only difference is that material activities are contaminated by three modes of material nature, whereas the potencies of the spirit in the spiritual world are all pure, because they are engaged in unalloyed transcendental loving service of the Lord. Now, this is a very good point. The only difference in the material activity. So it's trying to tell you actually the difference between the material world and the spiritual world. So there is no difference in intent. I asked this to Bhaktivinoda Maharaj, and before he became Maharaj, and I had a privilege to meet him. So Maharajji, and before even I was second initiated. That's not the point actually I wanted to make. I'm just remembering when was the time. So he told me, I asked him, what will happen? What will happen when I will not know? Because at least utna mujhe pata lag gaya tha ki when you become actually a devotee, you will never know that you have become a devotee. You please remember this. If you think you will You become a devotee and you will realize that you have become a devotee. That's all Maya. Because a devotee who is really a devotee, he will never know that he is a devotee, because for him, he'll be following Mangalarti and all that dictum which is generated and which externally visible to others, and to get shiksha and to get initiation and second, you need to do all this, becomes very small. It's like when you go in an army, you have to be, suppose for pilot, you have to have 6x6 vision. That becomes so normal. After that, the whole journey of a pilot starts. Right? So like that, once you become a pilot, nobody thinks he had a 6x6 vision or not. Okay. But when you enter, it needed. So same way, devotion is also like that. You will not be able to identify that you have become a devotee, because for you, following all these principles becomes very small. It is just a rubber stamping. But you really become a devotee when you really become a devotee with heart and mind and everything in sync, and you tolerate also to others, and you exhibit 9 types of devotional service, and you do it without anchoring for them that you, suppose you play very good mridangam and you still feel devotees should give me a chance to play mridangam so that I can show others I am playing mridangam. If you still, some devotees I want classes because everybody should know I know Bhagavatam. मुझे लगता है मैं ही सबसे अच्छी भागवतम बोल सकता हूँ. But when he is given a chance to decide who will give Bhagavatam, he will start saying, no, he cannot give Bhagavatam because a lot of devotees will complain. That's all lording of material nature. That means you have still not given up. So be very careful what I'm trying to say. Devotion means you don't know that you are a devotee. You are following all these principles like usual, normal. But people get attracted to you and people tell you, how amazing personality this person is. Wow. Whenever I meet him, I feel so connected to Krishna. You feel like meeting them more and more and more and more. I'll give you an example. When in Corona times, when lot of devotees, very highly elevated devotees passed away, you could see their last, just we saw my very close friend, Sadhu Sevana Prabhu's Guru Maharaj, His Holiness Kadamba Kanana Swami Maharaj, they were carrying him in a exalted position in his in his body, in his spiritual journey last. You can really see that, devotees are behind. He was completely detached. He got cancer, but he was completely detached. He didn't try to do even any endeavor. Naturally came, he accepted that calamity as the blessings of the Lord. Well, otherwise, we will try to save our body. I'm not saying that you should not try to save your body. It's okay, you can save. But this devotee was so higher level than, and Maharaj is giving initiations to so many people. Such an exalted personality. So devotees I was glued looking at him when they were carrying his body. I was glued when I saw the last time when Bhakti Charu Maharaj passed away. I could see for so many, wonderful devotees. So this is what is the point, that you will never know when you become a devotee. But when you become a devotee, you will be transferred. So I asked Bhakti Vinod Prabhu, I know that I will not know when I'll become a devotee. But what will be my difference? And I'm still in the body. And suppose I have become a devotee and I don't know that I'm a devotee. What change will happen in this world for me? Do I have to still go physically to another world? Because now I have to leave the world and I will enter into spiritual world. That's what he said. This is the line what is written. The only difference is that material activities are contaminated by 3 modes of material nature, whereas the potencies of the spiritual world are all pure because they are engaged in unalloyed transcendental loving service of the Lord. He said, Bhaktivinoda Maharaj told me that the moment, yes, it is true, because I asked this question because he might tell me, how can you say that you become a devotee? So I said, I don't know that I am going to become a devotee, but assume that I have become a devotee. Somebody is getting a feeling, I don't know. How will I realize that the life has changed for me? He says, there will be no change for you. You'll feel the world exists the way you were born. And one day you'll give up. For you, no change. Everybody you will find as Krishna's arrangement. Then he started using Krishna so many times. Then I understood what change I'm going to face. He said, you will become angry, but you will control yourself, thinking, no, nothing is more important than Krishna. Somebody hurts you even inside the temple or outside the temple. For you, a devotee and a non-devotee, with devotee you will try to associate with more, and a non-devotee you will try to avoid his association, but not by hatred. Oh, I hate this guy because he's not a devotee. I will not eat food in his house because he is not devotee. Hey, all this it will go away. It's not worthy of a devotee. Asata Sangha Tyaga Vaishnava Achara. It's very delicate thread. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says Asata Sangha Tyaga Vaishnava Achara, but he doesn't say Asata Sangha Tyaga Vaishnava Achara and then you accumulate all the hatred towards these people. No, no, no. He also says, na Trinadapi Sunichena, Tarorapi Shaishnuna. He says you become more humbler than the blade of grass. So he's telling if you become a blade of grass, then to maintain that humbleness, Asata Sangatyaga means if somebody is drinking, don't go and sit with him. You don't drink, but you are sitting with him and giving help to him, and being because your manager called you. So you are going in a party and everybody is drinking. You can go once, stay a little away, and then next time you tell him, boss, if you are doing all these things, I might not have to attend. I have done that in my practical life, and the boss or anybody will understand. So that is where Tyaga comes. But you don't have to hate them. You have to do it very, very diplomatically, not diplomatically in the sense of diplomacy, but very plainly and humbly. So that is the reason they say that the activities of spiritual world are without any difficulties of the material world. In material world, it is difficult to wake up early in the morning. In spiritual world, there is no morning and evening. It's like there is no nidra as such. There is yoga nidra. You don't become tired, but you just do yoga nidra to meditate on the Lord more and more and more and more. You don't have to chant every day Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. That chanting goes background in spiritual world. These are the lines which are just telling us. So let's go forward. The activities of the spiritual world are without any difficulties of the material world, but there is no question of impersonal voidness on the spiritual platform, as suggested by the impersonalists. Okay, so they're talking about impersonalists, those who think finally God is impersonal, right? It's a void. अंत में क्या है, भगवान ने किसी को देखा है? Like I met one person, he has a lot of disciples, and many years back, some relative of mine took me to that person, and I had just being introduced in International Society for Krishna Consciousness. I'm talking about 22 years back. Immediately when I came to ISKCON 22 years back, 23 years back, then that was the time when I was also taken to this gentleman. And by that time, 7-8 months in ISKCON, I understood that Krishna is form and formlessness at the same time, and Krishna is there. I had at least thoda bahut to samajh mein aa gaya ki ye devotees, they're not fools that they're dancing for Krishna. They are doing so much Hare Krishna, like Draupadi, we stand like this. And so much of fun I saw, and I'm still seeing. That gentleman was arranged a meeting in the end, because this relative of mine was a disciple, one of the going to be disciples of him. He thought he will also, be very dedicated. And then I asked him one simple question to this Swamiji, and I said, do you think God is form and formless? What did he do? He took his, not a kamandal, but he asked his child to bring one. The Swamiji asked his son to bring one magga without water holder. And then he said, you see water? I said, yes, this is formless. If I put it in the jar, it will take that form. Then he started explaining. I said, okay, that means God can take all the forms, but is God form or formless? Then what he did, he put the water like this. He said, God is this. And he just split the whole water, and he says, God is like this, some power, but he could not explain. God is finally form and formlessness together. He could not. For him, how can God be chiruted to one form? He was right that God can take several forms, but he thinks God can always take several forms, but he cannot have a single form, because the moment he takes a single form, that means he is becoming short. This is all not correct. So that is the reason why impersonalists are really very, very difficult stage of life for a devotee, because impersonalists also finally become personalists. It's everybody mam vartamanu vartanta manusya par sarvasha. Nobody is away from Krishna forever. But that is a very, very, very painful stage of life when you don't know really Krishna is form. So devotional service is defined in Narada Pancharatra, which says Sarvopadi Vinirmuktam Tat Pratavena Nirmalam Paratvena nirmalam rishikena rishikesha sevanam bhaktir uchyate. Originally, since all the senses are produced by the Lord's reservoirs of senses, the sensual activities of this material world are to be purified by the process of devotional service. And thus, the perfection of life can be obtained simply by purifying the present position of our material activities. And the purifying process begins from the stage of being liberated from the conception of different designations. Bhutaha, Jiva Bhutaha Sanatana. We are actually Sanatanis, but for some time we are designated in bodies, but that doesn't mean that we become part of those bodies. In the sea, they say, na, in the sea, in the sea of the sea. मतलब समुद्र की एक कहावत है, some movies have also said this, and a lot of seamen, they say, in the sea, ship becomes part of the sea. It's only when it comes to the shore, then it realizes that it has its identity separate from the ocean, or when it is disbanded and given away and broken and sold, then, but till the time the ship is very running and actual, they say in the sea of the sea. मतलब वो समुद्र का एक हिस्सा होती है. So this is just a way of understanding things. But the ship finally comes out. There's much more to be done with the ship, right? Like this, we come in this material world, we become part of this material world. We have been given this material body. We become so engrossed in this body, we feel we are the body. But Prabhupada says we are not the body, we are the spirit souls. We are the body, we are not the body, we are the spirit souls. Like this Prabhupada will say. Fact is a fact. He will say, fact is a fact. You see his face, you see his tiger-like voice. Oh my God. He immediately breaks the shackles of this material body. In fact, about Prabhupada, I want to bring one more point here. Nice. Sometimes I feel these classes are very good, but sometimes I feel so many shlokas. I'm not fit to take so many shlokas together, but then even you will not believe I'm not even started the class. Some of you must be just tearing your hair off from your head. Hey, क्या प्रभु ने आधा घंटा बोल दिया, क्लास शुरू भी नहीं हुआ. अरे ये तो ऊंट के मुंह में जीरा है. It's like jeera, I don't know what is called in English, in the camel's mouth. Okay, so I wanted to tell you something about Prabhupada. Okay, so basically, if you notice that lot of preachers, what do we actually, why are we doing these, classes? Why are we doing these classes? We are doing these classes because we have been in the association of devotees to realize Krishna faster and then go out. But do you know how much hard work it has gone through previous acharyas like Srila Prabhupada? Oh, a lot hard work. And there are different stages. We are so lucky. Actually, if you really read Prabhupada Leela Amrit, Krishna forced him sannyasa. He was a sannyasi from the beginning, but just to attract others, he made him sannyasi. So actually, it is said that different stages of a person. And for these acharyas, they have specifically 4 stages, which is Kutichaka, Bahudaka, Parivachakacharya, and Paramahansa. So when we glorify Srila Prabhupada, we say, Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivachakacharya. Have you noticed this? Jayam Vishnupad Paramahansa Parivachakacharya Shochada Shishimat, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. You see how many things we are adding? A.C. Abhay Charna Bhakta Ravindram Srila Prabhupada ki, and in the end also we end with Jai. Now all this, what it shows, how much glorification we are doing, still less for these personalities. So this renounced order of, so Prabhupada was a Paramahansa. Now who are Paramahansa? Let's go opposite. Now Paramahansa is a stage when a preacher has gone to different parts of the world and preached to Krishna. Now he's growing in that stage that he has to just transcend from this world to spiritual world, and his body is advancing and his body is not supporting. And the small nitty-gritties of this life will just bring them to a stage where they cannot travel. So that's the only reason. And little bodily, they are beyond the body, but they have to maintain the body like that. So, but they reach to a stage where they have finished their preaching work. Actually, preaching never finishes. So for a Paramahansa, do we say that he has finished his preaching? The answer is no. It's just for this temporary stage of life where he's become old and he cannot travel so long. He's now people travel to him. And that's what, Prabhupada never finished his preaching in the end. If you see his last moments, he's preaching Bhagavatam with the mic on his mouth closed and devotees putting, and he's trying to speak something and people taking the purports of Bhagavatam. So that stage is where he sits on one place, and for the sake of advancing in spiritual life, he's actually don't go around. But Prabhupada was not only a Paramahansa, but before that stage, he did a Parivajakacharya stage, where he went all over the world, so many, 17, 18 times. He has visited, written 51 books, created 108 temples, and done so much service to Srila Prabhupada, to Krishna and Radharani, that he has completely changed the face of the world. It's actually changed. And some of us are saved. And mostly most of them and everybody will fall in this line and be saved eventually. That's the advantage. But there is a stage even before there, which is a sannyasi has to go and beg before getting into a Parivajakacharya stage. He's trying to get into a Bahudaka stage where he goes and begs for prasadam, sits in a temple and preaches, and people go and meet him. So he's dependent on the congregation. But before that is sannyasa, which is he never accepts anything from his home, and he wears saffron and he starts going out for preaching full time. So these are various stages, and I just wanted to glorify Srila Prabhupada that when we call him as Paramahansa Parivajacharya, Strotshata, Shishimat, his divine grace, he's under divine arrangement of the Lord. So amazing are these devotees, and amazing is this arrangement of the Lord. So, and then the process of liberation is therefore easy through devotional service than by other methods. And for in the Bhagavad Gita 12.15, it is said that one is subjected to various kinds of tribulations. If one is impersonally attached, klesho dikadaras tesham avyakta sakta chetasham. All right. So like this, the first shloka ends and the class begins. Om Ajnanatimnandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Bandeham Shri Guru Shri Udapadakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavam Cha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Saganaragutam Tamnavitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Paridana Saitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padansa Ganalita Shri Vishakana Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesa Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namaste तप्त कंचन गौरांगी राधा विंदानवेश्वरी विष्णुवानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वांछा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिंधुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। कम करोति वाचालं पंगुं लंघ्यायते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुदीनतारिणम्। सवैर्मणः कृष्णा पदराविन्दयो सवैर्मणः कृष्णा पदराविन्दयो। श्रीमती राधा रानी की जय, शिला प्रभुपाद की जय। And now the class begins. So we have to cover 5 more shlokas and I have hardly 15 to 16, 17 minutes left. But let's see what we can do. So basically, this chapter is Purusha Sukta. But before this, what happened? Let us capture. So Narad Muni asks asked Brahmaji, his father, that, oh my dear father, please tell me that the transcendental knowledge which specifically directs, please tell me that transcendental knowledge which actually directs one to the truth of the individual soul and the super soul. He asked this question. He asked actually several questions. I think till chapter 5, around 18, 19 or around 20 to 30 verse, keeps asking questions. To that, Brahma calls him very nicely as, oh my dear son. So he asks a question that what is that transcendental knowledge which actually directs one to the supreme truth and talks about the truth of individual soul and the super soul. And then he also asks one of very important question, because of which Brahma had to speak about Purusha Sukta, is that please factually tell me the symptoms of this manifested world. What is its background? Kaun hai uska? Maya adhyakshena prakriti. Who is the adhyaksha of this prakriti? How is it created? Kalpadau prajamiham, like that. Kalp ke beginning mein, how it is created, how it is conserved, how it is maintained, and under whose control is all that being done? That was his question. And Lord Brahma is the in charge of one universe. So naturally, the question is being asked when Narad Muni is one of the element inside the soul, which is inside this universe. So his question is naturally from inside the universe, asking about something which is outside. So from internal to external, this question was asked by. So who was asking whom? Everybody sovat hai. I want to see who is Jagat.
Narad Muni.
Narad Muni is asking
The
question.
Muni was asking Brahmaji.
Lord Brahma.
Hari Hari. So the question, very nice. Thank you. My intention are to test, but sometimes you should ask. It's interactive. We'll do some more interactions. So it's a question is from inside a house asking something which is outside the house. And the house is universe creation. So Brahma, naturally, what will happen? He has to answer from the point where the question is coming. So that is preaching. When on the road you are doing book distribution, somebody asks you, oh, who is God? Your answer can be Krishna. But you also know if you just tell him Krishna, he may or not, because he may be some Devi Devta worshipper. You may think because he has experiences says that some other is God. So will you also don't expect that he will, you uttered and he accepted. No, it will not happen. It takes time to understand, assimilate. So preaching means to get into the level of that person who is asking questions. So that's the reason why Brahmaji knows everything, has to go to the level of Narada Muni, from where the question is coming. Then that is real preaching. So you should not burn, you should go slowly. That's the reason why, if you notice in chapter 5 and now in Purusha Sukta, slowly he's talking about the perception of material senses of the living entities, because he has the difference between the soul and the super soul. So he's talking about the senses, how the senses of living entity is very small, but Anuatma, he's engaged in the body. And he's talking about the controller of the energies, by Krishna's own, he tells him that God maintains his own potency. With his own potency, he maintains eternal time. And also the fate of all the living entities. What is the fate of all the entities? Mam vartamanu vartante manusya parth sarvasha. Everybody will one day understand Krishna. They were knowing Krishna. They will again know Krishna. There is nobody who can be doomed forever. Everybody was from Krishna's world. They will go back to Krishna. People will keep dropping and people will going up. We are one of those who are being dropped. So our idea should go up. Some people ask, agar main upar chala gaya to niche aa jaunga, fir kya hoga? So all these questions are, answer is very simple. You will be only taken once for a while, once forever, when you will be really made sure you will not come back. Otherwise we have to. Is this possible in one lifetime? It is possible in one lifetime if you really depend upon Krishna. If you depend upon And when you say depend upon Krishna means depend upon other devotees, but don't take endorsements from devotees. How many devotees come to my house when I invite a function? How many devotees give me dhoti and sari when I go to temple? How many devotees are calling me to the classes? That doesn't define. Oh, I am giving 100 classes in 1 month. I am a devotee. Pakka जाने वाला हूँ. अब पक्का नहीं जाएगा तू. मैं नहीं बोल रहा हूँ. Philosophy बोले पक्का नहीं जाएगा तू. क्योंकि सुनना ज्यादा है, कथा करना कम है. You should not give katha every time. Oh, बोलते जा रहा है, बोलते सुनना नहीं है. Do one katha once in a month, 2 in a month is more than enough to do a katha. Hear more, because we have problems more inside us than looking into the problems of others. So, these are certain things which I have learned from my senior. And I am also understanding this is fact. Apni dhoti, apni cleaning, cleaning your own self is more important. So when I am giving these classes, it is for my own purification, not for all of you. If I think I am purifying you, then I am gone, doomed. So that's not the way how it should be. And so this question of this chapter comes as Purusha Sukta. Now, Purusha is a word known as actually it's basically made up, means self. One who is supreme self, who is supremely aware, and he is the supreme universal principle. We know him as Krishna, who is the only enjoyer. Rest, everybody is being enjoyed. This is, you can see it, read it very nicely. Prabhupada explains in the introduction of Bhagavad Gita. And so Suktam means it's a devotional hymn or a song of praise. So with this, now for going forward, we will read in interactively mode these next 5 verses, and then we'll try to speak also something. But this is now, I wanted to bring you at this position to start interacting class. This class should have been for 3 hours, 4 hours. I generally feel that 3-4 hours minimum hona chahiye class ke liye. But bhag jayenge aap log, bhag jaunga main bhi. It is not possible, but actually it is to be done that way. I have been trained with the classes of Radhanath Maharaj. I used to hear 2 hours classes. So I know it takes so much time to get into really a mood of a class. After 2.5-3 hours also, I was looking, Maharaj will say, do you need more class? Or shall I end? And people were like gasping everything, and they will say, Hari Bol. Maharaj will continue for 1 more hour. I've heard my first class in ISKCON was 3.5-hour class by Radhanath Maharaj. How amazing. And I was like, itna to chahiye. Itna kachra bada hai. Itna kachra nikalne ke liye chahiye. But nowadays, 45 minutes, 1 hour class is also more than sufficient. Baba, aur bhi to kaam karne. That is all contamination. We are all contaminated, gone cases. But anyway, let's do it. All right, Mataji, who will sing 2.6.2? Let's go and have an interactive, wonderful next 5-6 minutes, and we'll finish all the shlokas.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhuji, yes, Shobha Mataji can read. Yes, Mataji.
Shobha. Please ping to the moderator Mataji, Patusha Mataji, if she is a moderator. Give her names and let's have continuous 1 by 1 debate. And you please ping them and don't disturb. Let's have this also. Don't get disturbed also by this activity. Okay, let's go ahead. Shobha Mataji.
Dandavat Pranam Prabhuji, Srimad Bhagavatam, chapter 2, Canto 2, chapter 6, verse 2. Sarvasunam cha vayoscha tanase parama yane ashirvinor asodhinam cha grahano moda pramodaya. Hare Krishna. Dandavat Pranam Prabhuji.
Finish the translation also. Then we'll have another devotee.
Translation by A.C.
continuity
Bhaktivedanta Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. His 2 nostrils are the generating centers of our breathing and of all other airs. His smelling powers generate the Ashwini Kumara demigods and all kinds of medicinal herbs, and his breathing energies produce different kinds of fragrance. Hare Krishna. Dandavat Pranam Prabhuji.
Next devotee, Mataji or Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat
Prabhuji, you want purport to be read, Prabhuji?
Yes. Let's finish one devotee finishing all, because we have to do it. Let's give chance to everybody. There's nobody king here. I'm also not a king.
Purport reading, na Prabhuji?
Yes. Everything will finish by one devotee, 2.6.3 also. If there is a long purport, that devotee should sing it quickly. That's all.
Okay, Prabhuji. I think there's no purport for 6.2. 6.3.
Yes,
it's
yes.
showing directly.
6.3.
Yeah.
We'll go now to 2.6.3.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Danvat Pranam.
Mataji, pranam.
Rupanam tejasam chakshur diva suryasya chakshini karno disham cha tirdanam shrotra makasha shabdayoh. Translation by Prabhupada ki jai. His eyes are the generating centers of all kinds of forms, and they glitter and illuminate. His eyeballs are like the sun and the heavenly planets. His ears hear from all sides and are receptacles for all the Vedas. And his sense of hearing is the generating center of the sky and of all kinds of sound. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Suma
Finish the
Mataji,
purport also. Finish the
please read the
purport.
purport.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, ma. Hare Krishna. Purport by Srila Prabhu.
Okay, whoever. Go ahead.
Hare Krishna. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The word Tirthanam is sometimes interpreted to mean the places of pilgrimage, but Srila Jiva Goswami says that it means the reception of the Vedic transcendental knowledge. The propounders of the Vedic knowledge are also known as the Tirthas. Hare Krishna. Shall I read the shloka also, Prabhuji?
Yes. If there is nobody
Hare
else.
Krishna.
Go ahead.
Fourth shloka. Tadgatram vastu saranam saubhagasya cha bhajanam tvagasya sparsha vayuscha sarvamedhasya chaivahi. Hare Krishna. Translation. His bodily surface is the breeding ground for the active principles of everything and for all kinds of auspicious opportunities. His skin, like the moving air, is the generating center for all kinds of sense of touch and is the place for performing all kinds of sacrifice. Purport. The air is the moving agent of all the planets and as such the generating centers for promotion to the deserving planets. The sacrifices are his bodily surface and are naturally the origin of all auspicious opportunity. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna.
Hari. Next.
Vandana Mataji, you can read the next sloka.
All these are descriptive. So please read it.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Hare Krishna, everyone. Dandavat Pranam. Shloka number 2.5.
2.6.5.
6.5. Romani udbija jatinam yerva yagnastu samvrita kesha smashru nakhanyasya shila loha bhara vidyutam. Translation by Srila Prabhupada Ji ki jai. The hairs on his body are the cause of all vegetation, particularly of those trees who are required as ingredients for sacrifice. The hairs on his head and face are reservoirs for the clouds, and his nails are the breeding ground of electricity, stones, and iron ores. Purport by Srila Prabhupada Ji ki jai. The polished nails of the Lord generate electricity, and the clouds rest on the hairs of his head. One can therefore collect all sorts of necessities of life from the person of the Lord, and therefore the Vedas affirm that everything that is produced is caused by the Lord. The Lord is the supreme cause of all causes. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. 1 second. Now you read this line. I thought something we can share here. The polished nails of the Lord generate electricity, and the clouds rest on the hairs of his head. He can therefore collect all sorts of necessities of life from the. So one can therefore collect all sorts of necessities of life from the person of the Lord, and therefore, what does that mean? See, the grains which we are eating, the air which we are breathing. So the whole world, basically, I told you, right? Internally, the question is asked by see how I'm doing. I'm like going internal inside the egg, the universe, and my question goes outside the egg, which is the universe. You see what I'm doing? My hand goes from here, so it's like a universe. The question is coming from inside the universe, and that's why this description is being given. What in the factually it is trying to say here is that when you are living, imagine there is a universe, there's Prakriti. Now there are elements, 26 elements, and then, all these, intelligence and all that. I understand that, you go through all this, the ego, false intelligence, the intelligence and the false. false ego, ahankara, and all that layers. I am taking, you are reading Bhagavatam, so I am understanding you know all this. That's why I'm not going so in detail, otherwise this class will never end. So you see, please see, Narad Muni is also a very realized soul. His question is for the benefit of all of us. Generally, the universal form of the Lord basically is an impractical proposition. Impractical means a devotee never loves to see Lord in the universal form. He is satisfied with the two-hand forms of the Lord. Say, for example, there's a very rich man, and he's a very close friend of you. You go and meet his house, and he has a 4.2 billion house, which is right in front of you, and you are standing in the gate. In the gate, there is a nameplate. What is it written? Generally, what is written in the nameplate of the house? Tell me.
Hare Krishna. Prabhu, the name of the person who is staying there.
Very intelligent. Well, yeah, that's fact. Why they don't write? They may write Shubham, the house of something, but mostly 99% the name of the gentleman is supposed to be written on that house. What does that mean? So now you wanted to meet that person. You come next to the person, the gate of the person. When you see the house, can you say you met the person?
No, Prabhu.
No, Prabhu.
Yes. But if somebody says, roadside, somebody, auto wala comes and says, whose house is this? This is mine. You will believe in him?
No.
No.
Please understand. So the auto wala, you will not believe in him. You know that I will get satisfied because that very rich man has asked me to come, unless you don't go and meet in his visitor room and meets and he gives you a cup of, lassi tea when we were not devotees, right? A cup of milk, juice or something, you meet him, you feel satisfied. Oh my God, what a wonderful person, such a big house. But when you come out, you still, the whole house is owned by that owner. So that owner is not that house itself. So when you are going with your wife or somebody and your wife asked you, oh, you met this owner, na? He stays here. And you say, yeah, this is his house. It is he only who stays here. You're getting my point? But you don't say, suppose your friend's name was Ramesh and he owns this 4.2 billion house. You don't say, this is Mahesh, 4.2 billion Mahesh. You will say, this is house of Mahesh. But at the same time, that house is as good as Mahesh himself because it is owned by Mahesh. So for those who cannot really realize who Mahesh is, Arjuna also asked this question to show your universal form so that you can show a connection from internal, because we are all elements inside the material world. So from material world, so from the gate, we see the building and we have to see the owner. So for time being, they say, this is a $4.2 billion house. The first is Mahesh gym. Correct? You getting my point? So from there, and if you want to meet him, you go to the second floor, you will get something, food to eat. Then if you are more friendly, he will take you to the third floor. Then he will give you nice sauna bath. If that's the really thing of this life, people like sauna bath. It just came because these rich people do that, right? And then he has a theater on the 5th floor. On the 6th floor, he can take you to a gym, to some shopping mall, which is a lot of things, and his employees are there. You can buy things. His house. And I thought, oh, is it? And it will supply. And then you go next, there is a ATM and all the things. He gets his food. You can get food from there also. But it is his house. Exactly. This is what Narad Muni is being explained by Brahma ji. Ye hai dekho kaise. And in the end, so, but still, you say this entire, so the whole cosmic manifestation is a manifestation done by the first Purusha, which is nothing but the Vishnu lying on the causal ocean, generating these universes. Like that, you have to understand. It's very difficult to finish all this in it, but this is what they're trying to, what Brahmaji is trying to explain. Narad Muni knows who is Krishna, but for the benefit of all those who cannot conceptualize that how this entire world is pervaded by the Lord, they are trying to create this fiction into reality. So universal form of the Lord, devotees don't want to see. It's just to make you feel finally Lord is everything. In fact, it is his energy which is creating all this, fantasy things around you, which you call it as, the universal form. And Adityakaras are there, right? You see the fires are coming from Adityakaras. You see, has somebody seen universal form of the Lord in Bhagavad Gita? Is somebody has Bhagavad Gita? You can show it in the screen. Oh, so many fires are coming out. Countless bellies are there. Countless hands are there. Arms are there. Weapons are there. Just to show how the Lord is working. And so only the saints go, and the Rishi Munis, when they see this entire creation run, so they sing Purusha Sukta to satisfy the Lord. That, oh Lord, you become satisfied. Om Shanti, Om Shanti, Vishnu Shanti, Vishnu ji Shanti karo, Shanti karo. Bahut chalai duniya, are chalai rahe ho. Wo rukta hai nahi. He's running. Every day we have to wake up in the morning, clean our body, become, try to become devotees. All that. One day you also feel, oh Krishna, now you take me back. I know I am not capable to become, as good as what people stay around me. Please take me back. Maybe these prayers may take us. That's how I think. And it's not mentally conceptual. I have understood it's very difficult to Baba cross this world. I think I'm not fit. So I keep saying, Krishna, that doesn't mean that I'll not try to become fit. I try to become fit as much as possible, mentally and physically and practically. My mental level, some intelligence barrier is always there in everybody. The moment you think you are super intelligent, that means you are least intelligent. Okay, that itself suggests you yourself feel you are glorifying yourself. Glorification has no place of your self glorification. Okay, who will sing 2.6.6 and we'll end the class? Is a one line, and we'll puppet will be for the homework.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, shall I sing? Bahavo lokapalanam prayasha shema karmanam. Translation, Prabhuji?
Yeah.
Translation by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The Lord's arms are the protective fields for the great demigods and other leaders of the living entities who protect the general mass. Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Haribol. And the purport is for?
Nandini Mataji, please read purport.
Okay, if you feel time is there, please read the purport.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. The important verse of Srimad Bhagavatam is corroborated and nicely explained in the Bhagavad Gita 10.41 and 42 as follows. Yed vibhutimat sattvam Srimad urchitam eva tat iva vagachatvam mama tejo masat sambhavam atava bauhaithena Kim jitena tavarjuna vistabhyam idam krishnam ekam senu stido jagat.
One comment can I make? One comment can I make here for all of you? All of you have been practicing a lot, because the way you all are singing, it cannot happen in one day. So I think whoever is running, I know Ashish and all of you are doing a great service. Very, all of you who have been singing these shlokas, and I know some of you may not be singing, but whoever are singing are really practicing. So my thumbs up for all of you. Very nice.
Yeah, so humble, Prabhuji.
Very nice. It's not possible to sing these shlokas in one go without any mistake. But all of you are practicing. Abhyasena tu konte. But vairagyan. Don't become, when I have told you are doing good, but don't take it, oh wow, ab to hum badhiya ho gaye. Nahi. Vairagyan chit griha. Means continue vairagya. Even abhyasa. Please, complete the.
Scroll, it has gone. You need to scroll down.
Actually,
okay, Mataji, one second.
Page is also becoming too big. Font size can be reduced. Right now, this is okay.
Is it okay now, Mataji?
No, it's not big. It's not beginning from the beginning.
Yeah, it's not in the beginning.
She's not seeing the beginning.
Now it.
There are many.
But only one line we are able to view.
You start reading. Okay. She will continue going down.
Okay. There are many powerful kings kings, leaders, scholars, scientists, artists, engineers, investors, excavators, archaeologists, industrialists, politicians, economists, business magnates, and many more powerful deities or demigods like Brahma, Shiva, Indra, Chandra, Surya, Varuna, and Marut, who are all protecting the interest of the universal affairs of maintenance in different positions. And all of them are different powerful parts and parcels of the Supreme Lord. The Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna, is the father of all living entities who are who are placed in different high and low positions according to their desires or aspirations. Some of them, as particularly mentioned above, are specifically endowed with powers by the will of Lord. A sane person must know for certain that a living being, however powerful he may be, he is neither absolute or independent. All living beings must accept the origin of their specific power as mentioned in this verse, and if they act accordingly, then simply by discharging their respective occupational duties, they can achieve. Mataji, please scroll up.
Is it okay now, Mataji?
No.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Sorry for the interruption. I'll read from the book, Mataji. She's finding it difficult to share, Mataji. That is
Okay,
why.
Mataji.
No
Sure.
problem. No problem.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. They simply by discharging their respective occupational duties, they can achieve the highest perfection of life, namely eternal life, complete knowledge and inexhaustible blessings. As long as the powerful men of the world do not accept the origin of their respective powers, namely the personality of Godhead, the actions of Maya, illusion, will continue to act. The actions of Maya are such that a powerful person misled by the illusory material energy wrongly accepts himself as all in all and does not develop God consciousness. As such, the false sense of egoism, namely myself and mine, has become overly prominent in the world. And there is a hard struggle for existence in human society. The intelligent class of men, therefore, must admit the Lord as the ultimate source of all energies and thus pay tribute to the Lord for his good blessings. Simply by accepting the Lord as the supreme proprietor of everything, since he is actually so, one can achieve the highest perfection of life. Whatever a person may be in the estimation of the social order of things, if a person tries to reciprocate a feeling of love towards the supreme personality of Godhead and is satisfied with the blessings of the Lord, he will at once feel the highest peace of mind for which he is hankering life after life. Peace of mind, or in other words, the healthy state of mind, can be achieved only when the mind is situated in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. The parts and parcels of the Lord are endowed with specific powers for rendering service unto the Lord. Just as a big business magnate's sons are empowered with the specific powers of administration. The obedient son of the father never goes against the will of the father and therefore passes life very peacefully in concurrence with the head of the family. The father, similarly, the Lord being the father, all living beings should fully and satisfactorily discharge the duty and will of the father as faithful sons. This very mentality will at once bring peace and prosperity to human society. Jai Shri. Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna. Hope you all. So this is very self-explanatory purport. You can read it again, and you have to be just faithful to Krishna, to his arrangement. Let the life comes. Take the life as the flow comes. I'll give you one example. Don't do that. You'll understand what I'm saying. Generally, we learn how to live on circumstances, right? That doesn't mean that you should not plan your life, but don't overplan, don't overthink. Some things have to be left. So if you think your basic saving of life is there, you are taking care of your life, then that's more than enough. Okay, now enough for somebody may be this much, enough for somebody may be this much. Well, that depends upon, karma and, the feelings what we have. Some devotees are rich, some devotees are poor. Some devotees are very good in service, some devotees not good in service. Some devotees are good in some service. Some devotees are not good in other services. Some are good in some. So variety is there. But everybody become unite when they love, they accept this varietiness as Krishna's arrangement and do your level best. That's all. And then then that is known as state of humbleness. Preventing lording over others, forcing. If you are a leader of a devotee leader, forcing somebody, no छोड़ के आओ सेवा करने. अरे देखो यार उसकी position देखो कैसे, उसके घर की, see the situation in his home. Go and help him out, then he will come. Nobody, if you ask anybody, nobody wants to go away from Krishna. Once they realize they want to come to Krishna, and never have a feeling I will make others devotees. We all are inside the Maya. How can we bring others outside of Maya? So when we are asking others to come out of Maya, we are also ourselves also coming out of Maya. We should not forget that. All that is what is being written here in this purport is go by the will of the Lord. So the Lord's will is that you have to be in this body because of our karma. Is system said you be in accept that body, whatever it is now. You cannot really do anything about it. And so accept the intelligence what you have got. Just try to dedicate whatever remnant with you in the service of Krishna, that is going by his, that is by means abiding by him. Hari Bol. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Tat Sat.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Thank you so much,
Prabhu.
Prabhu. A very beautiful and engaging session. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. Dandat pranam.
Thank you, Prabhu. Dandat pranam.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Prabhuji.
Prabhuji.
Dandat
Dandat
pranam.
pranam. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna, Prabhuji, I have a doubt.
Okay, go ahead. Others can
May I
log off,
ask a
or whoever wants to log off. Yeah, please go ahead.
Dandat
If I am
pranam,
able,
Prabhuji.
if I am able to answer that, clear that doubt,
Sure,
you go
Prabhuji,
ahead
you
and
will.
share. I don't
Prabhuji, you
know.
mentioned that Gayatri mantra should be chanted after second initiation. So I wanted to know the reason behind it. Why is that so? Gayatri mantra means what? Mantra which has Dhimahi word in it, or it begins with Om?
Om Bhurva Swa is the Gayatri
So
mantra.
that's the bigger name. Huh?
That's
So there is one more Gayatri mantra. No? There are n numbers of Gayatri mantra because
yeah. So I'm talking about Om Bhurva Swa.
Srimadasya is also a Gayatri mantra, right? So
You should
which
not ask
mantra?
any more questions on second initiation.
Okay,
Second
fine.
initiation, yeah. Actually, factually, second initiation, you should never. I'm just because I know I was once not second initiated. I also had huge inquisitiveness to know what is second initiation. But during second initiation, I came to know you should never speak about second initiation to others. And you can never divulge any mantra to anybody. Like that. So Om Bhurva Swas, when it came, it just struck to me, and we are all human beings. So little relation we can, because maybe some of you might have become inspired to take second initiation, right? So like that, you have any other question? If you have anything related to second initiation, get into that position and get into the room. When you get second initiation, then go to a second initiation devotee and ask 100 questions. That's how it should be. You get, see, second initiation.
This mantra, I've known this mantra because my parents, they used to play it at home.
So that is part of the second initiation we'll get. Suppose if you are going to our International Society for Krishna, that will be one of the mantras part.
Okay.
It will be also part of that.
Oh, okay. So, Prabhuji, one more question, doubt that I have heard that any mantra which begins with Om should not be uttered by a female, especially when it goes deep like because it may it may affect their womb and cause miscarriage and hormonal imbalances. So how true is that statement? Any idea about it?
I'm hearing this for the first time. But आपने क्या कहा? Om. The word Om.
Female should not utter this like this.
Because it's like go here and then it affects the womb. I don't know if anybody in this group knows about this. Maybe a question which so many things. I have never heard this, Mataji, in my ISKCON life. I've never heard this, that Om should not be Om, or whatever these. No, I have never heard this. So I'm saying I cannot deny this. Because I have not heard this doesn't mean मैं छोटा सा बुद्धि में I have never heard doesn't mean it. But I doubt if that is going to be true. My gut feeling feels. Of course, we are not here to speculate. आप अपने अंतर्मन में देखो ना. You just go into your internal conscience and just sing Om once. Do you feel you are disturbing yourself? Answer should come. Just say once Om, very deeply.
Prabhuji, I used to chant Om Namah Shivaya and all that, but when I
No,
got to know
no.
this,
Just say Om like this, very internally, and sing it once. I want to ask you something. Very, very practical thing I'm going to ask you. Just sing the longest Om you can sing. And very deep. No, not Au, only Om.
Om, okay. Om.
Okay, 1 second. Now, one practical question. Anything what we do, our conscience is very active. Do you feel you have done any mistake?
No, Prabhuji.
No, your internal conscience is telling you, oh, कुछ गड़बड़ कर दिया life में.
No, not at all.
ऐसा मुझे लग रहा है. ये प्रैक्टिकल है. ये प्रैक्टिकल. अभी मैं आपको बोलता हूँ, ऐसे बोलो रावण, तो कहीं ना कहीं आपको होगा, अरे रावण का नाम ले रही हूँ. You see what I am saying? दुर्योधना, then say ओम, फर्क आएगा. कृष्णा, ओम, दुर्योधन, दुशासन, फर्क आएगा आपको. जैसे ही दुशासन लोगे तो दुशासन के काम याद आएंगे. ओम याद करोगे तो कृष्णा याद आएगा. ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय.
You feel positive energy.
You get positive energy. तो मैं तो सिर्फ अपने अल्प ज्ञान से छोटा सा बता रहा हूँ आपको. ये तो एक्सपेरिमेंट किया है मैंने आपके साथ और अपने साथ, आपके साथ, सबके साथ. मेरे को पता नहीं है इससे ज्यादा. वी आर नॉट सपोज टू, कहते हैं ना, स्पेक्यूलेट. बट खुद ही देखो ना यार, क्या आपको लग रहा है ऐसा?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Relating to the Mataji's question, in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that he is Om himself, like he's Omkara.
Yes.
So what is wrong in Prabhuji? Like,
but
Krishna.
But I don't. So much I have lived in this life now. You have said what is wrong, but I can't even use these words.
I'm sorry, Prabhuji. No, Prabhuji.
You
Whatever
understand?
Krishna is there, we have to accept. So that
But
is what
we have to. Yeah, we have to respect.
I'm very sorry, Prabhuji.
No,
apologies.
You understood why I'm asking you. I can't even say that. I could have said, "Oh, all is no, Baba, chup ke raho. Ye duniya bahut vichitra hai." That doesn't mean she'll say Krishna is not supreme. So I'll say, oh, wow. Acha, maybe Krishna. No. Some things are clear, but Om impacting your body, and that too a woman body who is supposed to be the mother of a new soul. And Nari sarvatra pujyate. Nari ki har jagah puja honi chahiye. That lady is that entity, and the soul getting inside a female body gets impacted by such a beautiful word Om. It is really hard to believe. But I would not say, because somebody may bring some Rig Veda se kuch nikal diya, to kyun kaha, you have to get into that. So I don't want to get more into it. You understood my question. Do research on your own. Do some Googling. Go to some Pandit who has read more about these things. Somebody who is doing into naturopathy and all that. Who does these transcendental vibration methods. Those who are learned and do some. There are a lot of devotees also who claim that Hare Krishna Mahamantra is, we say that it gives you ultimate spiritual benefit, but they also tell you that it has a positive impact on your body and all that. They may have done more research on this word. Does that answer you?
Yes,
practically, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I feel it should not impact. That's all. If you come to know,
I also have a small question.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat pranam.
I also have one small question, Prabhu. They say, I've heard that unless and until you have not taken the second initiation, you're not supposed to sing this Gayatri mantra or even listen to it. Is it true, Prabhu? To any extent?
No, it depends upon. See, I got in Gayatri mantra. See, these are not very important questions. Okay, these are not very important questions. I mean, generally,
even if you listen to it,
I'll tell you one thing. Generally, I am a devotee who doesn't like all these discussions. Because it's somebody says something, there is no written prescription.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Could I say something on this, Prabhuji?
Go ahead,
Because,
answer.
Prabhuji, we in the south as Brahmins, every day our husbands utter Gayatri Mantra 3 times a day, because we are all initiated through Brahmopadesh. Yeah.
I didn't
so
get.
we hear it. Yeah.
Yes,
so we hear it.
I
So
have
I
a
don't
thread.
think that should
I have
be.
got a
Initially, okay, Mataji, first initiation. They say, but the second initiation, unless you're
no, like
No,
we have
no,
my
no.
husband.
What she's trying to
Mataji,
say,
you should not
yeah,
chant.
Mataji, what I am trying to say is, being in South India and
South
we
India.
being Tamil Brahmins, we already have the sacred thread, not the ISKCON
Yes.
initiation. I am saying
Even
the
I have
sacred
this,
thread. Yeah.
yeah. This sacred thread
Every
which you
day.
see here,
Yeah.
which I am also wearing, I have worn it even before during my marriage. I got Gayatri.
Yes, Babuji.
Because
So
we
here-
cannot enter into we cannot enter into marriage
Correct.
bhavan without being barpant.
For us, it is like by the time a child is around 14, 15,
we have to
all the boys are given Brahmopadesh.
Even in North India.
I'm so
we
sorry
keep
to
hearing
interrupt,
it.
Prabhu.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. We have to end the session, Prabhu. I'm so sorry.
Yes, I know.
Another session timing.
I was
Thank you so
thinking,
much.
I know. So anyway,
Thank you so much, Prabhu.
Let's
Yeah.
end it in a nice way. I hope everybody is satisfied. And these questions, we can take it, you all can discuss. There's nothing. Let's conclude this, Pratyusha Mataji.
Yes,
this
Master.
point that her question is, I think you can sing a lot of traditions they give. Like I also got this mantra before. There is no harm. Taking Krishna's name and Gayatri mantra, there is no harm. Yes, what I told about the don't ask me further questions on second initiation is because second initiation, when you become, they will tell you more things about that. Okay, chaliye.
Thank you so much for your feedback. Thank you. Hare Krishna.